It's really, knock on wood, paid off extremely well the last couple of years, having a fantastic conference tourney run as we speak. And you just got to junk it and throw it away when it gets to the big dance and start all over.
This is Sharp Money with Patrick Meagher on VSiN, the sports betting network.
The tournaments and, of course, conference tournament. Difference between betting March Madness and then betting the conference tournaments, of course, familiarity. Let's just start with some overview thoughts on betting these conference tournaments, Scott.
Sure. I'll tell you what I've been doing the last couple of years, and this was something that Dave Koken, good friend of mine and a well-known Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned in this business, put together in the last couple of years. And basically in conference tournaments, and unfortunately, you cannot do this in the big dance, and it'll be obvious as to why when I explain it, but we love to look at teams that, and mostly favorites in the conference tourneys, that lost both meetings during the regular season to their opponent, to their current opponent. They lose both games, they're a favorite in the conference tourney, and then go back and dig in and see if any crazy stuff happened for them to lose both of those games to that current opponent. And, I've got things that are like, an example, there's a game, I believe, tonight where one team beat another twice, and they're power rated well below the team they're playing that they beat twice. In one of the games, they outscored that opponent at the free throw line 30-14. Now, they're not a high-volume free throw shooting team, and the other team's a little bit more than that. It was fluke. You see teams that maybe are a 250th out of 362 teams in three-point shooting, yet they combined in their two games against their opponent to hit 45% of their threes. They have a game where they go, 15 for 33 from the three-point line, and they never make that kind of three-point accuracy during the course of the regular season. And so that's what we basically do. We start by looking for favorites that lost the two games of the regular season, so double revenge. They're obviously at least perceived to be the better team because they're laying a couple of points, and then you start digging into it, and you're like, wow, that was a fluke that they lost one of those games, potentially both. And I want to see them being able to lose, being in that spot where they should have won both games, if not for fluky stuff happening. Got a game, I don't know if it was last night or tonight. We'll talk about the games in a minute, and I'll refresh my memory. There's a game that a team lost both regular season meetings by a bucket in each, and there were fluky numbers all over the place. So that's what we look for when it comes to the conference tourneys. It's really, knock on wood, paid off extremely well the last couple of years, having a fantastic conference tourney run as we speak. And you just got to junk it and throw it away when it gets to the big dance and start all over when it gets to the field of 64 because of, they're not going to be teams that played each other twice during the regular season.
You've always preached to us, Scott Spreitzer here, you've always preached to us when you're putting together your bracket and thinking about teams futures market-wise that can win the big dance, you look for teams that are in the top 20 in offensive and defensive efficiency. We've got one that's in the top 15 in both offensive and defensive efficiency going right now, and that's Auburn, and they're beating up on my Gamecocks 48-29. Do you still marry yourself to that top 20 offensive and defensive efficiency?
Yeah, I do. I look for those kind of mismatches. If I got a team, if you add the two together and you've got, let's say, a 35 between offensive and defensive efficiency, you add those two together, you come up with a 35, and they're playing an opponent that's maybe 110 with those two metrics combined. It's as easy as that, and then you start looking for the number to make sure the number's not out of whack, that you're getting a fair line. And, if you don't have time to make your lines, can I give a plug
Please.
Okay, I go to, if you go to Bartovic, you sit there and you can look at their lines, and at least you're getting a fair line. It might be off the line by a point or so, but it's not off by 3 or 4. You're getting a fair number. So that's for people who don't have time to do their own lines. Not everybody does, and so they can go to a site like that, plug in the next day's games. They can see if they're getting a fair number with who they like. But I do look for those teams that play well on both ends, in offensive and defensive adjusted efficiency.
Torvik is great. This is a big KenPom house. He joined us earlier in the week. You can find that over at VSiN.com. KenPom does the same.
Yep.
They do the Lord's work.